Hey, what's happening? Tim with Nomad Trading. So we're gonna do runner recap. I'm gonna try something new. A friend, a subscriber, sent me an email with an idea to do like a recap of the day's runners. So I'm gonna try that out and do that here and there. If it's popular at all, or gets quite a few views, then we may do it every day at the close of the market. Just kind of looking back at the top trades of the day. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Market Watch screener, and we're going to be focused on the ones that come up on this screener at the end of the day. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And the criteria, this is going to be kind of focused on more newer traders, people that have smaller accounts and are just starting to trade. So typically if you're a new trader and you're just getting into the markets, you probably want to be looking for stocks trading from somewhere around $1 to $10. We don't want any super expensive stocks because most of you that are newer have smaller accounts, so don't want to be starting with $300 stocks. That wouldn't make sense. So figured we would start with stocks that are between $1 and $10. Stocks that are under $1 sometimes can be movers, but they don't, in my opinion, follow the patterns quite as well. And I want to be able to teach you guys some patterns to look for that are somewhat higher odds patterns, not just spike up and fail all the way back down, which is what we see a lot with under $1 stocks. We're going to be looking at stocks that are up in price by 25% or more, typically, because we got to weed out some of these stocks, and maybe we'll toggle this a little different at some point in time. But for now, anyway, this is what we're focused on. I want to get it down to just a handful of stocks that we can look at each day. So we got between $1 and $10 up in price by around 25% or more. So that's a good. That means it's up in price by quite a bit. Then we want to have trading volume between, we're going to set that at 2 million shares because we want to make sure that this is something with volume. We don't want something that's up by 25% or more because it's a super thinly traded stock that maybe only traded 1,000 shares or 100,000 shares on the day because one buyer bought it. It shot up, 50% or something. You get that a lot with low price stocks. So to weed that out, we're gonna set the volume at around 2 million shares. We're gonna leave all this alone. We don't really need that at the moment. We don't want to weed out all the stocks. Then I'm going to have outperforming their 200-day moving average. Doing that because typically if you have a stock that's up quite a bit and it's one of the momentum plays that we're watching, a lot of the time it's going to be above its 200-day moving average. So it's just another way to weed the stocks down. We can take that off also and see what we get. That might be something that we try right now just to see what the difference is. So right now this is a perfect amount. We've got it down to 5 stocks that we're moving today. So that's a great amount to actually be able to look at in depth and pull them up on our platform. Just out of curiosity, let's see what this would do if I uncheck that and we leave that off. How many more we would have. So still, we just got 6. So maybe we'll leave that off. That might be what we have. And what we do here, you can bookmark this. I definitely recommend you bookmarking this. It helps out. So what I will do, I'll show you. If I go here and I put bookmark this tab, and then you can name it whatever you want to name it. I already have one, so that's why that pops up. So I've just done that, and I've got my other one over here with the 200. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to come over here and grab this, and I'm just going to drag it over here. So what that does is that throughout the day, all you have to do is click up here on your bookmark tab, and it will automatically go to your screener with the criteria in there, and it's going to screen it. So then, boom, just with one click, you can see what moved throughout the day. So anyway, what we got here, what we're going to be looking at, is this little list. We'll see what we see here. I'll try to make this small maybe and keep it out of the way. So the first one we have is SLDB. So we'll just type that in here. What I see here is the, I want to change this to the 5-minute chart. And then we got a 1-minute chart, a 5-minute chart here in the blue, and down here is going to be your daily chart. So the first thing I look for on the daily chart, we can see that we are above the near resistance of the open of this candle, but we still didn't ever get above the absolute high of day of this candle. So there might be resistance at that point, a little over $6 if we got to that point. So we're just keeping that in mind. Then we're going to look at the actual charts here for the 1 minute and the 2 minute, and we're going to look and see if there are things that jump out at us. For me, right away, I'm just going to kind of think out loud when I'm looking at this. So if I look at this, I see that it jumped up quite a bit pre-market, but it faded back and lost most of its gains. It went over 50% back down. I don't like to see that. I would have liked to see the stock hold up in this range. I don't like to see it giving back most of its gains. It did have news, by the way. There was a catalyst, but it gave back most of its gains. Then we have a nice little spike here. This is a lower volume. It has 39 million shares traded on the day at this point, but the volume didn't come in until later. So it spiked up here again, tested high of day, failed, went below VWAP just briefly, came back up, tested again, failed, tested again, failed, and then on this time, and what was the difference? This is a 5-minute chart, by the way. What was the difference here? Why did it make it this time and it didn't the other times? The answer would be the volume. If we look at the volume down here, we can see that that's when volume came in. So it failed all these other times because it just didn't have the volume down here. Well, it wasn't trading enough. So then when the volume came in, it was enough to push it through there, and once it pushed through, it probably started squeezing shorts. People that might have been shorting in that range, just under $5. Why would they be doing that? Well, you got that resistance over here as it's curling up. Shorts and people that are looking to take profit are going to be seeing these candles on the daily, and that might be areas that they're looking to get out or short. So it ended up breaking through there. Again, it did come back and lose more of its gains than I would have liked to test high of day, and this would have been probably the best spot to take a long position. You could have taken one here as it broke high of day, the pre-market high. That would have been a definite entry point that would have been fairly solid. So you could have taken the break of high of day there around 482, 83, somewhere in there. And then you could have waited until it started seeing this resistance in the 520s and got out there. So you would have had a nice 50 cents per share winner there. Then another trade would have been a VWAP bounce, and this one I liked because not only did it bounce off VWAP, and I like VWAP bounces in the morning, especially this one's in the afternoon, but still you had the volume. A VWAP bounce is a decent setup, especially when it's correlating with the high of day pre-market. So you got the pre-market high right here, and it happens to line up with where VWAP is. That becomes a little bit of a higher odd setup. Just a plain old VWAP bounce, a decent setup, and going up and breaking out and then coming back to test a high of day is a decent entry point as well. So when you add both of those together, you can come up with a pretty decent spot to go long. And this would have worked perfectly because you could have gone long right there at the VWAP bounce in the 480 range, and it went all the way to actually it topped out at almost 580, so almost $1 a share. I probably wouldn't have held that long, and also you'd be pretty awesome if you were nailing the bottom and the top at the same time. Very difficult and very unlikely. But you could have very well got out here at this consolidation in the 550 range, and that's an entry anywhere in the 580s and getting out in the 550s. You're still talking about 70 cents or so per share. That's a great profit. So that's what I see on that. Other than that, it's pretty choppy. It tends to lose all of its gains or most of its gains. It rockets up, but then comes down a lot farther than I would like, which makes it a little bit dangerous from the long perspective. But this particular trade here would have been decent, and buying the high of day break and also buying the VWAP bounce. Those are the two trades that I see in that situation. What's up, Dave? What's up, Nafissa? Glad to see you guys in here. Let's see. Next on our list, if we look at our list here, what do we have? VVOS traded only 4.2 million shares. So let's type that in here, see what we see. A lot lower volume, so probably not going to be as exciting. So basically on this one, VVOS, as you can see, traded less than 5 million shares, which is not ideal for those of us who are momentum day traders. What I see out of the gate, it looks like about mid-morning or so, we had a nice spike. So you could have bought that high of day break. The high of day was right here in the 921 range. So could have bought the high of day break in the 920s, and then it would have been, I mean, first of all, it's got some crazy range. It doesn't have a ton of volume, but if you were actually watching this and it popped up on your scanner and boom, you made a play and bought at high of daybreak, it's got a ton of potential, because it went all the way from the 920s. Looks like it got halted up here at 12.27. So you got $3 a share in a matter of a few minutes on low volume. That would have been an awesome play. Buy the high of daybreak and get out at any point. $1 share, $2 share, $3 a share gain. Awesome. Other than that, there wasn't any plays on this stock, but had you been lucky enough to have that hit your scanner or whatever and buy that break, even if you got out at this point, you'd have been up a couple dollars a share. And if you held all the way to the halt, then you're looking at, it came out of the halt, you might have been lucky enough to get out at $4 a share. It did go up all the way to, let's see what the high was there. The high 1441. So it went to 1441. So even if you bought the high of daybreak there, you're talking about over $5 a share. If my math is correct, over $5 a share possible gain there. That's crazy, especially on such low volume. It must be a very small float on that stock. But anyway, that's the only play that there was there. After that, you could have shorted it if you had shares to short, and then you would have made a bunch of money, got halted on the way down. But I'm not a big fan of shorting these stocks, because if it went up that much on that low of volume, it's probably a very small float, which makes it very dangerous. If you're moving up that much, then you need to be very careful, beyond careful, especially as a new trader, if you attempt to short something like that, because that could rocket just as much. You know, it could go up another $5 a share and blow your account up. Very dangerous to be shorting that, but there is a lot of potential there as well if you can nail it. Let's see what else we had here. Doing our runner recap. We got our after day session runner recap going on here. We got next thing SNOA. So we'll type in SNOA. What do we see here? 61.5 million shares traded today. That's quite a bit of shares traded. This is the 5-minute chart. If you're just joining us, the 1-minute chart, you can tell that right here. It says the time frame right there, and this is the daily down here. So if we're looking at the daily chart first, seeing where we're at on the 100 days, it looks like at one point it did break out. It was a clean breakout on the 100-day chart past that previous high resistance over here of, let's see what the high was over here. Looks like 1250. So we did go way beyond the 1250 and capped out today at 1519. If we zoom out quite a bit more, let's see, did we have another day? Yeah, so if we zoom out a little bit more and we go to 200 days on the daily, we can see that there was a day that it actually went higher than that. went as high as 1960. So what that tells us when we're looking at this daily chart, what I would see right off the bat is this stock does have a history of spiking up huge, and it does have a history of coming back down. That does not bode well for anybody who's looking for afternoon plays or looking to hold this stock overnight. These are the kinds of things that you want to notice if you're going to end up holding a stock overnight. You don't want one that goes up a lot but then comes right back down where it started. That's not a good thing, because everybody's looking at that and people are knowing that, and when they're looking to buy the stock, as it gets into the afternoon, they're looking to jump on it. They want to bail out. Shorts want to pile on because they know that the odds are history will repeat itself. If you've got a spike and fade several times before, probably going to do the same. And look what we have today, exactly the same. Spike way up, and then we've faded all the way back down. So not ideal on the daily chart. But let's look at the a little bit zoomed in version, see if we had any opportunities. As far as this goes, it rocketed up pre-market all the way from 7 or so, ended up getting all the way up to that 15-20 area. Not a lot of opportunities though. You could have bought this micro pullback here on the 5-minute. If you look over here on the 1-minute, it got pretty choppy in that area. So if you're watching it pre-market, then as it started to break that previous pre-market high here, you could have gone long at that point around 1250. And as we saw in this chart over here, 1250 was where this candle had capped out. So that's why you get the choppiness there. That's why you get the little pullback there. Everything, not everything with stocks, everything's not going to make sense. There's plenty of times that things don't make sense and they're erratic and they don't follow any kind of pattern. But overall, the probabilities, what we do as day traders is try to predict things that are going to happen based on the past, and they do very often do that. So if you look at this, and you can see that this stock had topped out around 1250 on this day over here on the daily chart, and then it's no coincidence that that's around the area that it found resistance and kind of slowed down there. It was in that $12 to $12.50. The high of this candle right here was $12.50. So you have that same area, and that's why people are looking at this chart. They're saying, hey, that could be the spot that this stops, and so they start getting out, shorts start getting in. Ultimately, it overcame that, and that's where you could have gone long, is where it breaks that 1250 area, and it's another breakout. You could have gone long there. You would have had to been very quick on the draw, because it's a 1-minute candle, or I guess it's a 5-minute candle. The 1-minute candle, let's see. Still, the 1-minute candle went up quite a bit. So you would have had time to get in, though. Once it broke that, you would have had to be quick, but you could have gotten in, and then you could have ended up getting 1250 to at least 1350. You could have very easily taken this for $1 a share gain before it ever even got choppy or started to have any kind of a resistance pullback here. So that would have been a trade you could take. It pulled all the way down here and lost over 50% of its gain. So that market open would have been right, let's see, market open would have been right there. So out of the open, it dumped pretty good. You could have bought the bounce there. I'm not a big fan of buying bounces, especially under VWAP and under the 50 moving average, and right away without any real support there. Not the biggest high odds setup there. Could have bought the break of VWAP. That would have been a setup, as it broke the 50 and broke VWAP. That's a decent sign of strength, especially with the volume coming in down here. So that would have been a play you could have taken, and you might have gotten in it around 13 and been able to get out of it for at least $1 a share gain, maybe $1.50 a share gain before it started to pull back and have resistance. So that was another entry point. Other than that, it would have just been a short as it came up and tested the previous high and the pre-market high, and then failed right there all the way back through VWAP in that 5-minute candle. On the 1-minute, if we look over here, pretty big drop on the 1-minute candle, and at that point it would have been a pretty good short, and turned out that it would have been an easy short because it faded all the way from up in the $14 range to now being all the way down at $8.40 after hours. So would have been a decent short. SONA, that's about all I see on that. Let's see what we got next. VTVT. VTVT on our runner recap here. VTVT. Let's see what we have. If we look at the daily chart, it looks like it's kind of curling back up. A little bit of a kind of a mirror play, a little double bottom W type play. On the 200 day, we come down here, we bottom out in the mid ones. It comes back up, comes down, bottoms out again in the mid ones, and then starts to come up. So kind of a mirrored double bottom play there. It did find a little bit of resistance. Let's see, it would have been around the 380 range that we found resistance on the daily, and that ended up being kind of support here on that dip, but ultimately it did fail. As far as plays go, as a long trader, long bias trader, we had 108 million shares traded on the day, which is a nice amount of volume, but not a lot of opportunity from the long side. If I look at this, I don't see really any setups from the long side other than like a couple minute scalp here and there, but nothing that I would really see as the high odds setup. It just basically would have been a better short. It gapped way up here. Had you been shorting it and risking off of high of day, it would have been fantastic short, because you would have never had any trouble or anything to be scared about had you shorted it up in here. First, you would have had to find shares too short, but if you did, it would have been a fantastic short, because nothing but fading the entire day. So not a whole lot to look at on that. What else do we got here? REPH. This one only traded 6 million shares, so not a whole lot of volume. What's up, Trader Paul? So if we look at REPH on the daily chart, first of all, we're going to check that out. Looks like it was starting to curl. Let's zoom in a little bit. So we've had a big long fade. Zoom in just a little bit on the daily chart here. So it's kind of formed a little bit of a long-term cup and handle. Kind of had the cup and then the handle forming, and it's zooming through. I'm assuming that it had a catalyst. Let's see. Basically, there's a flurry of healthcare IPOs. So I don't know if it's up on sympathy. 45-day option to buy additional 525,000 shares. So underwriters got an opportunity to buy more shares. Anyway, the catalyst, not the most amazing catalyst, but it does have a catalyst, I guess. It comes up, anyway, it kind of curls up, a little bit of a couple handle on the daily, not very well defined, but a little bit. Shoots up today. Could have found resistance in that mid 2 range, 250 or so, because we had that resistance here and the resistance here. Let's look a little more zoomed in and see if it did have resistance there. A little bit. It kind of got a little bit choppy on the 5 minute there. If we look at the 1 minute, did we have, yeah, it topped out there, right there. So the resistance on the daily did come over to the 1 minute, but then ultimately it busted through that. So that would have been your first opportunity, possibly would be when it broke that resistance on the daily and the resistance here and created a new high of day. On the 1 minute, that would have been a spot you could have entered and scalped it from 250 or so to maybe 275. You would have been getting it right pretty much at the top. I doubt I would have done that. Probably would have gotten out probably around 270. So you might have been able to scalp it for 20 cents or so, which would be decent. But on the 5 minute, it looks a lot better. 5 minute chart, it's a lot cleaner. You didn't have a lot of red, a lot of major pullback. So you could have got in it for that high of day break of 250 past that previous resistance and scalped it to, 270 would have been about the spot I would have gotten out. No red there, just a clean green break from 250 to 270, a nice 20-cent move. After that, consolidated, stayed above VWAP, which we like to see. And then you could have done another break of the previous high of day around 282 as it broke past the tops of these candles. We had quite a bit of candle wicks on the top and bottom, so it was really consolidating pretty well in that range. Couldn't decide, couldn't pick a direction. So as it started to pop up there, you could have gotten long. Would have had to been pretty quick, because just on the 1 5-minute candle there, we went from, let's see, 269 to a high of let's see, 325. So quite a bit of range on that 1 5-minute candle. But if you were quick on it, if you were quick on the draw, if we look over here at the 1 minute candle, you would have had to been pretty quick. Finger on the button on the hotkey, and boom, you get into it. You might have had a little slippage, maybe get in the 280s, and then for me personally, I would have been getting out just above 3. Would definitely not have held it all the way up here to the 320s, but you know, it's just another opportunity for 20 cents. So basically there would have been a couple opportunities for 20-cent scalps on this stock. Fairly low volume, not as exciting, but it did have a decent amount of range going from the lower 2s to the lower 3s. So $1 a share range. Not too bad. Not a scalper's dream, but there was a couple of small spots you could have made money on it. Let's look at the next one on here is FAT, F-A-T. That's the last thing we got on here. So let's see what we got on FAT. So that's another mirror play, kind of a mirror curling play. So as we can see, it went up on the 100 day. This is a daily chart down here. We got up as high as 1030 or so, and then it's just came fading right back down, started to curl, and then today, let's see, is that another one of those IPO sympathy plays? I swear the news I keep seeing on all these stocks is just that there's a flurry of healthcare IPOs. So a lot of sympathy, I'm guessing, in these plays. But anyway, another low volume, less than 5 million shares traded, but it did go all the way up to high of day. We had a high of $12. So over here, the resistance on the daily would have been around 930 or so and 1028. If we look at this chart, the 1130 would have kind of been resistance on the 5-minute, but not really, nothing too exciting. On this, I'm not going to talk too much about it because there's really not very many opportunities here. It basically had very low volume, spiked way up, and then faded all the way down at open. It was kind of dumping it open, and then reversed, came through the 50, busted through VWAP as well, but it was so thinly traded, and you had all this resistance at that point. So to me, would probably not have been anything I would have traded. If I was watching this live, I would have just clicked away. Too thinly traded, and just not enough action on it, not any kind of quality setup. So probably would not have traded FAT, but you know, it's worth looking at. It's on our screener there, so we look at it. So there we have it. That's all of our stocks that have popped up on our runner recap here. So that's all we got. Did you trade FRSX today? If you guys got anything, we can talk about it real quick before I jump off of here. Just trying to do something new, a little runner recap at the end of some of these days and see how that plays, see if it gets some views and some watchers and whatnot. And if it does, then maybe we'll do it more. Something new, something we're trying out. Did you trade FRSX today? I did not, but we can look at it since you're talking about it. FRSX. So this one traded 106 million shares. Did go from mid ones all the way to 280s, maybe even almost touching 290. Let's see where market open was. We had market open was right there where that volume was. So at market open, it was coming down. So you would have probably had to have traded it pre-market for it to be a very lucrative trade. Even then, it would have been difficult because it came down, but it didn't come down to too much. Let's see where we're at there. 201, 201. So I'm not really seeing much that would have provided support at 201. Well, I guess that might have been. You could have maybe played that there. We had a kind of a triple top over here. If we look back on the daily, somewhat of a triple top, just under $2. So maybe you could have used that as support as it popped up and came back down. You could have been thinking that that just under $2 would end up providing support and hit a bounce play on that. That might have worked. You could have also bought the break of the pre-market high around 247 and scalped it up to maybe 280 or so. So 30 cents or so on 30 cents per share possibility on the previous high of day break. Then it would have been a beautiful short at that point. Would have been kind of dangerous had you bought that with the low volume that it had. Would have been, at the time anyway, would have been a little bit dangerous, and would have I would have felt bad if any of you got stuck on this monster pullback there. Anyway, kind of just faded all day. Did you trade Nolo? Did you trade FRSX? Hopefully you're not still stuck in it. Today most stocks just fade. It seems action is now in the afternoons. Yeah, I've noticed that too. I agree, Nafissa. Not seeing a whole lot of action today. There wasn't a ton of action to the long side from what I saw. There was quite a few stocks moving, but just not a lot of setups that I saw. Definitely didn't see my favorite setup, the bull pennant or the bull flag. Didn't see much of that happening today. I wonder if it was. I didn't really even look at the overall market. Was it a down day or an up day? It looks like a down day. So that's probably why, because the markets are overall down today. That happens a lot when the overall markets are down. It puts a little bit more of a lid on the momentum stocks, unfortunately. Nolo took a position in the pre-market, but just not a lot of spread, so I got in and out type of trade. Yeah, 20 cents. That's still good. Anytime I make 20 cents on a scalp, I'm happy with it. 20 cents on a scalp, to me, is a win. If I can get 20 cents on every scalp, I'm pretty happy with that. Of course, I want to get $1, $2, and all that. That'd be great. But especially in a stock that's only trading between $1 and $3, getting 20 cents on it's pretty good. If you're getting 20 cents on a stock that's trading at $100 a share, not as good, you know. But getting 20 cents on a stock between $1 and $3, you're doing pretty good. All right, I'm going to jump off of here. Just wanted to make a quick video. This ended up being about 30 minutes, but that's okay. A nice first time runner recap. So I'm going to put that in the description. Oh, wait, I already did. Good job, Tim. You already did that. Runner recap. Awesome. So we're going to try doing these, and if we get some views and get some likes and people are interested in it, then maybe I'll start doing it every day at the end of the market close. I don't know. We'll see. Thanks for watching. Thanks for interacting if you're in the chat. You guys are awesome. Have a great evening. Moving on. Got lots of stuff to do. So I just wanted to jump on here quick. Not too bad. New trader trading in Thinkorswim right now, and actually just got approved with CMEG, so I'm ready to get bombed with fees. I'm actually, you'll see me trading in CMEG too. I'm going to start trading more and using more CMEG, and because of no scanner on E-Trade, I'm going to start showing more of my CMEG stuff on my YouTube videos instead of my E-Trade stuff. E-Trade stuff just gets more views. It's more widely used, but with the scanner being gone, I'm going to start using CMEG more and kind of phase on that in. Hopefully people are starting to change over to other brokers because of E-Trade Scanner and their executions. A lot of things that are not that great about day trading with E-Trade. Hopefully we'll have the same success with CMEG that I've had with videos on E-Trade. Y'all have a great night. Thanks for watching. Run a recap. See ya next week.